All right, guys, welcome back to the 2 weeks web development bootcamp. And today happens to be the fourth day of the training. In our last class, we covered topics like HTML semantic tag, div and span, inline and block element. Then we also looked at introduction to CSS. We looked at the meaning of CSS, different types of CSS, how we can link CSS to HTML. We also looked at syntax and structure of CSS rules, such as selectors, properties, and values. We also looked at basic CSS selectors, such as element or type selector, class selector, and ID selector. And I also sent you an hands-on, several hands-on exercise on our last class. So please, if you haven't done it, ensure you do it. So in today's class, which happens to be the fourth day, we are going to be looking at grouping and combining selectors. We are going to look at common properties such as color, background color, font size, and many more. We are going to look at applying and understanding font family and font weight. We are going to look at applying colors with names, hexadecimal, RGB, and ACL, HSL values. And we're also going to look at adding background images with background image. All of this is what we're going to be looking at today. Afterwards, we're also going to look at the CSS box model. Actually, we are behind schedule, so let's see how we'll be able to cover all of these topics and the topics of the for today. And if we are not able to cover everything today, of course, we will we'll spill it over to tomorrow. So, all right, let's move on. So, go to your Visual Studio Code. I'm just going to close all. So, yeah, I'm going to create a new file. Sorry, a new folder. I'm going to create a new folder under the 2 weeks web development bootcamp. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this side so that the focus or the highlight will be on the parent folder. Then I will right click. Then you will see new folder. Click on new folder. Then name the folder class 4. So yeah, I'm going to I'm going to create a new file, but let's see what we are going to be doing. Let's see what we want to do. Okay, we want to look at combining, grouping, and combining selectors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get what should I use this? Okay, I'm going to use the HTML, the semantics.html file. So I'll right click and copy. Then I paste it. So I'll click on class 4, right click on it, and I'll paste it in class 4. All right, good. So what I'm going to now do is I'll also create a new file. I will create a new file inside of class 4 folder. I'll right click on it, click on new file, and I'm going to call this style.css. All right, good. Style.css. So we already have it linked in the semantic HTML, file. Can you see link? The href is what style.css. So correct. So now let's look at group grouping and combining selectors. Grouping and combining selectors. So if I preview this, if I open this with my live server, let me open this on the browser. So this is what we have. Fantastic. This is what we have here. This is a very nice web page. So let's do group selector. So let me go over to this place, to the 2 weeks. So yeah, look at here. It says grouping selectors and combining selectors. There are two different things: grouping selectors and combining selectors. So let's look at it. It says under grouping selectors, it applies the same styles to multiple selectors by separating them with a comma. So let's say you want to apply the same style or the same style rule to different multiple selectors, to different HTML elements. You can use grouping selector, and they are all separated by what? By They are all separated with a comma. So let me go to my HTML code and let's see what we want to style. Probably I want to style okay, I think I can remove this style now. I can remove this. Okay, let's keep the class and ID. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'm going to which one should I start now? I'm trying to okay. Um I want to style this H2 and also style the H1 the same way. I want to style the H2 and the H1 the same way. Which what I'm trying to say in essence is I want to apply the same style rule on H2 also on H1. So instead of doing something like this, like H2, let's say I want to give the color of red, and I also come here to H1 and I do what? A color of red as well. So if you save this now, what you're going to be getting is this. Can you see the H2, which is the logo, and the H1, which is this title here, is having the same color. You see that it's having the same color. So, but knowing that if you notice, we are having the same CSS style both for H2 and also for H1. So this is not the best practice when styling our HTML element. So if you know that you're going to give in different element the same style, instead of styling them separately, you can just combine the selectors together and apply the same style to the elements. See that now? So this is a best practice. Let me call it best practice. Okay, I didn't show you how to comment in CSS. So if you want to comment in CSS, probably just like the way we learned how to comment in HTML. So to comment in CSS is very simple. Still have you just hold on to control key and also the forward slash key. Then you are good to go. So if you are using Mac, it could be command and forward slash key. So I'll hold on to control key and is what I have here. So before I continue, let me accept this person. All right, let's move on. So I'm just going to say best practice. So best practice is using or best practice is to use a group selector. Is to use group selector. All right, so the group selector, let's go over it again. It says that apply the same styles to multiple selectors by separating them with a comma. So here we have two selectors. We have this element selector. Also, this is element selector, but the elements are different, H2 and what H1. So I'm just going to do H1, comma, H2 like this. Then I will apply color to be what? Red. You see that now? Color to be red. Best practices. Color to be red. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to comment this. I'm going to comment all of this that I have here. So I'll just do forward slash asterisk. Then I'll come under here and I'll do asterisk forward slash. So it's going to comment this code. So it's going to comment this code. So this is the best practice. Just select the selectors. So you have H1, comma H2. So this is called group selector. This is called what? Group selector. And if you go to your browser, you will see everything is working perfectly. See that now? Everything is working perfectly. So that is what we call group what selector. That's what we call group selector. And you can decide to, if you look at the H1, the H1 is having a class of title and also having an ID of what title. So if you don't want to select the H1 by its element name, you can select the H1 by its class value or by its ID value. So let's see that. So let's say I want to select the H1 by its class name. I'll just do dot title. If I do dot title, look at, it's still going to give me the same thing. And if I want to select it by its ID value, I'll just do I hashtag then title, because that's the value of the ID. If you look at it here, that's the value. And if you save, it's still going to give you the same result. You see that now? So when it says it applies the same styles to multiple selectors by separating them with what? A comma. So what? So is the comma that makes this a grouping selector. A grouping selector. So you see, very, very simple. So let's go back to H1. Okay, let's keep it like this. All right. So I believe you understand this particular part. So let's look at combining selector. Combining selector, what does it mean? It combines selectors to style elements within a specific context. Combining selector means that it combines selectors to select elements within a specific content. So now under this combining selector, we are going to look at adjacent element. We are going to look at descendant selector and child selector. Let's look at it together. So let me open the readme. Hold on. So let me open the readme. So under the combining selector, I guess. Okay, let me do it up here. Mm, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, combining selector. Combining selector. So under it, we are going to look at descendant. Okay, let's look at child selector or whichever one. Descendant selector. Descendant selector. Yeah, and we're also going to look at child selector. Child selector. So now look at descendant selector. It said it selects elements that are descendants of a specified element, while child selector selects elements that are direct children of a specified element. Please take note. Descendant selector selects elements that are descendants of a specified element, while child selector selects elements that are direct children of a specified element. You know, in knowing or mastering CSS, one of the topic that you need to master is CSS selector, because in applying a CSS style rule to an element, you must know the different ways you can select an element using CSS selector. And we looked at element selector, we looked at ID selector, what do you call it, class selector, and we also looked at grouping selector. Now, under combining selector is descendant selector and child what selector. So let's take for example, you have A is you have B, and you have okay, let me say, how am I going to put it? Okay, let me do something like this. You have A gave birth to just hold on. I'm going somewhere. A gave birth to B and C. A gave birth to B and C. Just watch. And C gave birth to D and okay to D while C gave birth to E. Aha. So just watch. Now, I want to use this as an example, as an illustration to explain um, descendant selector and child selector. So let's look at descendant selector. Here it says that selects elements that are descendants of a specified element. So let's say, for example, what are the descendant elements of A? The descendant element of A includes its direct children and also its non-direct children. For descendant selector now, it includes its direct children and also its non-direct what children. So the direct children of A, like I stated here, is what is is A and B. So that's the direct children of A. And so the direct children of A is what B and C. Direct children of A is B and C. So you can still see this as what? A descendant selector. You can see B and C as a descendant of what? A. Because it came from what? A. So B and C can be seen as what? Descendant of what? A. And also be seen as direct children of what? A. And also the descendant of A can also is what? D and E. D and E. So B and C, D and E are all descendant element of what? A. B and C, D and E are all descendant elements of what? A. So now, what is child selector? Child selector simply means it selects elements that are direct children of a specified element. So if you look at A now, what are the direct children of A? The direct children of A is what? B and C. But also, what is the direct children of B? The direct child of B. The direct child of B is what? D. And the direct child of C is what? E. But but D and E is not the direct children or are not the direct children of A. The direct children of A are B and C, not D and E. D and E are descendant of what? A. I need to explain this so that you have perfect understanding on this. B and C are direct children of A, but D and E are not direct children of A. Rather, D is a direct child of B and E is a direct child of what? C. You see that now? But B and E, D and E, okay, B and C, D and E are all descendant elements of what? A. They are all descendant element of A. So now let me show you how to select descendant element. So let's say, for example, you want to select B from A. To select B from A, you can do something like this. A space what? B, like this. So this space that we have here refers to, okay, color red. So this space that we have here between A and B simply means descendant selector. So it means that you are selecting B from A. You get that now? You are selecting B from A. So that's what it means here. It says selects elements that are descendant of a specified selector. So the specified element here, the specified element is A. So the element we are selecting from A is what? B. So B is a descendant element of what? A. You see that now? And we can also do C too. C is also a descendant element of what? A. And D also is a descendant element of A. And E also is a descendant element of what? A. But when it comes to direct selector, that means direct selector, we say, so when it comes to direct children or child selector, selector selects elements that are direct children of a specified selector. So let's say I want to select the direct children of A. So to select direct children of A, you have to do A greater than B. So what this simply means is B, you are selecting B from A. So B represent the direct child of what? A. Direct child of A. But you can't do A greater B. A greater D. So you can't do something like this. Why? Because D is not a direct child of A. Though is a child of what? A. Okay, it's like, okay, I should explain it again. Which part? Can you unmute your mic and speak, Felicia? All right, let's move on. So don't worry if you don't understand this illustration. When we are looking at it in practical, you will get the picture. So the thing is, yeah, look at what we have here. To select a direct child, you need this symbol called greater. This greater than symbol here. So let us look at it in practicality now. So let me go to this HTML. If you come here, let's say, look at this H1. Let me collapse this. Um, let's do this. Let's say, look at this header elements here. This header element. Inside of the header element, what do you have? Inside of the header, because look at the opening tag of the header and what the closing tag of the header. In between the header tags, what do you have? We have, or what can you see here? You can see H1 and you can see what? This UL. If I collapse this now, the only thing you are seeing is what? Sorry, you are only seeing H2 and what? UL. So now, the direct children of this header tag is what? H2 and UL. H2 and what? UL. So these are the direct children of the header tag. You see that? These are the direct children of the header tag. The H2 and the what? UL. These two elements are the direct children of the header tag. Then if you expand this UL, the range of the UL, you will notice that this UL has how many lists? It has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 7 lists. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it has 7 LIs, 7 lists. So inside of the UL, these 7 lists are the children of the UL. Are you with me now? The 7 lists are, or the 7 LIs are the children of what? This UL on other list. And also, each of the LIs are having a child element. Each of the LI have what? A child element, which is what? This link here. So this link is a direct child of the LI. Why the LI is a direct child of the UL. While the UL is a direct child of what? The header. You can see the structure. You get that now? So the link or the anchor tag is a direct child, or is the direct child to what? To this list, the LI tag. Why the LI tag is a direct child to what? To the UL, because we have 7 LIs here that are direct children of what? The UL. Why the UL is a direct child of what? The header. You see that now? So now, with this understanding, we can select this link from LI. We can select this link from UL. We can select this link from what? Header. So now let's analyze this again. The link is a direct child of UL, but not a direct child of the link is a direct child of Li, but not a direct child of Ul. So the link is a grandchild of Ul and a great grandchild of what? Eda. So you see that now? So that means the Al, sorry, that means the link is a descendant of Ul. Also, the link is a descendant of what? Eda, of the Eda tag. So with this understanding, we can now say, okay, I can decide to select this link by its element name, or I can decide to select this link by giving it a class attribute or an ID attribute, or I can decide to select this link by its parent element, or I can decide to select this link by its grandparent element, which is the UL, or I can decide to select this link from its great grandparent element, which is what? The header. So I have the liberty to select an element using different selectors. That is why I'm equipping you with the different types of CSS selector that we have to help your selecting experience better and seamless. You get that now? So let's look at it in practical. So yeah, let's say I give this each of this link now a class. Now let me give each of the link a class. Let's give it a class. All the links now a class. Yeah, one. Okay. Are you sure that's all? Pages. I know something. So I'll call it. I'll give it a class of page links or nav link. That's all. A class of nav link. I see that nav link. So I come here. I can select it. I can do dot nav link to be let's give it a color of blue, or let's say we'll give it a color of black. Let me use this kind of black. So I'm going to explain 28. I'm going to explain this one. We'll talk about that when we are addressing color. So now let's see what we have here. If we come here, look at the links as what? The color of the links have changed. Why? Because I selected the link by what is classed value. I selected the link by its class value because all of the link that is inside of the UL, they all have what? A class value of what? Nav link. But I can decide to select this link based on the the list. I can decide to select this link based or from the list from its parent element, and the parent element is the Li tag. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to remove this. I will say okay, Li greater, then I'll do dot nav item. Nav item. Let's see something here. Do I have any part that is linked here? Okay, let me do something here. Um, let me do a p tag. I'll say to learn more about Samsung. Samsung S24. Click the link below. The link below. Mm, let me see. Click, click. Or let me say, click this link. So I'll just do like an arrow. So I'll do like href. So I don't want you to go anywhere. So I'll just do something like an arrow. So I'll do arrow. Okay, right arrow. So let's save. Now let's see this. Where is it? Not this one. Let me look for. Okay, right arrow. Let's save. Let's see. This one here. So let me zoom this page so you see. Yes. Look at this arrow here. So imagine before doing this, let's say I say all the links in my page to be color of coming. All the links in my page to be color of ash 28, 28, 28. Everything, oh, all the links in my page to be this color. So now watch. Even this one here is going to be black, a shade of black, and this one here. So in order for me to control the flow and say, okay, I want only this link to have that color, what am I going to do? I just have to, because this is an element selector. So it's going to select all the link in my HTML page, and I don't want that to be so. So I only want to select the link that has a class of what? Link. Nav link. So if I save now, it will only affect the nav link, but it won't affect this one. You see that now? Okay, good. We are going somewhere. But let's say I want to select the link, the nav link now. I want to select all these nav links, this link here. I want to select it from its parent element. You know that this link is a direct child of what? The list. So we can use what we call child selector. So how do we do site selector? So first of all, you select the parent element. So you do li, that's the parent element. Then a sign called greater. Then the name, then the link or the child that you want to select from what? From the li. And apparently the child we are selecting is what? Link. So I'll just do dots. I can do dot nav link like this, nav link like this, or I can just do a. So what this simply means is it's going to only um okay, let me give you something like um okay, let's still maintain the red color, the shade of black color. So now if you over on this a now, like over on the a, can you see? It means that I am selecting the link that is a direct child of what? List. So that's the essence of what? Li greater than a. So if I save now, can you see the same thing? But also I can decide to say I want to select this link from the ground parent, like from the UL. And you know that the link is not a direct child of what? The UL, but a descendant of what? The UL. So I can do this. So I can just say, okay, let me select the UL. Now, if you do something like UL greater than A, it won't work. Watch. Can you see? It won't work. The reason why the style rule did not apply to this is because A is not a direct child of what? UL. So if you over on A now, can you see? It's not a direct child of UL. Rather, it is a descendant of what? UL. So to select a descendant element, you need to remove what? The greater than sign and just do space. So UL space then A. UL space then A. It means that it's going to select. So this style rule is going to affect this link that is a descendant selector of what? UL. Can you see? A, something is between the UL and A, which is what? The link. The list. Can you see that now? So and you see this will work. You see that it will surely what? Work. So that is descendant selector and child selector. And you can even select the link from the list as a descendant selector. If I do li space a, it will still what? Work. You see that now? It will still work. Why? Because a is a direct child of li and also a descendant of what? Li. So you see, fantastic. So ensure you watch this video over and over again to understand this concept once I upload the video on YouTube. All right, so that's that about descendant and child selector. descendant, and child selector. So let's look at common properties of CSS before we start going deep into some aspect. Common CSS properties. So we are going to look at CSS font properties. We're going to look at CSS text properties. All of these, we're going to look at these, just these ones here. That's some ones we will exclude. Okay, let's look at font style, font weight, font size, and font family. So font style, font weight, font size, and font family. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to change this back to greater than. So this will now be a child selector. So let's do it here. Child selector. So let's look at common property. So here um I want to style the font family of my text. I want to style the font family of my text. So what am I going to do? I'll come to the CSS. I'll come to the CSS. So the thing is, if I want to style the font family of all my text, that means the link text, the H1 text, the paragraph text, the span text, and all. So all of these texts, if I want to change the font family, because apparently they're having the same font family. So see that now. So if I want to change the font family, it will not be wise if you select each of the elements and you give it the same CSS font family. It won't be. That's not a good. That's not the best. That's not the best practice. It shows that you are an amateur. You get that now, or a beginner. You get. All right. So, but if you want to set a font family that will affect all of your text element, this is what you are going to do. There are two ways, anyways, but I'm going to show you this. So you come to the body tag. So let me do it above this best practice, or let me do it here above this. I'll just come to the body tag. The body tag holds all the HTML elements because the body tag represents the visible part of your content of your web page, the visible part of your web page. So all the elements that will be visible on the browser are written inside of what the body tag. So your body tag holds all the elements that will be displayed on your browser. So now if you want to set a default font family to all your text element, this is what you do. Just select the body. Once you select the body, just type font family. So font family actually represent the typeface of your font. So there are different fonts here, but we are going to also look at how we can use Google fonts as well, because the fonts that we have here, they're actually what limited. So you have Cura, New, and all of those things like that. So I'm going to use let's see the one I'm going to use here. You can use any font actually. So I'm just going to use system. The moment I type system, it's going to filter and give me the result. System UI dash Apple system. So I'm going to click on this. So look at this, the font family. And once I go to my browser, it's going to change. Can you see? Automatically, it has changed. See that now? Changed. Nice. Change the font family. You see that now? That is one. And also, if you want to um change the font size, let's say you don't like the font size of H1, and if you don't like the font size of H1, sorry, yeah, the font size of H1, where is it? H1, yeah. So you can just come here and select H1. So you can select H1 by his ID attribute, his class attribute, or H1 what attribute. So you see that now. So I'll just come here. I'll do Let me do it here. I'll do hashtag title, and I'll do font size. I'm going to give it, I think the default font size for H1, I think is 32, if I'm not mistaken. The default font size of H1 is what 32. So I'm just going to increase it and give it a 48 pixel. Yeah, 48 pixel. So probably in our subsequent class, when we get to responsive design, we are going to be looking at absolute and relative units. So absolute and relative unit. So before then, we are going to be using pixel a lot. So pixel is absolute unit for the web. Absolute unit. You get that now? So we are going to we are going to go into details on the meaning of absolute unit and relative unit, and which one should we use when building a responsive website. All right. So, but before then, let's just still be using pixel. So font size will give you 48 pixel, and if you look at now, can you see the size is now what bigger? The size is what bigger. So let's look at another one, which is font. Okay, we've looked at font family, font size. Let's look at font width. So font width represent the thickness of your font, your text, the thickness of your text. It represents the thickness of the font, the thickness of your text. So now apparently by default, H1 is very bold. H1 is very bold. So if you want to set the font weight of H1, you just do something like this font weight, and you can use numbers to set the font weight, and you can use keyword like bold, bolder. What is it? You have bold, bolder, lighter, and normal. Or you can use numbers like 100 to what 900. So 900 simply means very bold. Like the boldness is the bold is what heavy. Is heavy. You see that bold. So can you see heavy? If you come to 800, it's like extra bold. That's what it means. If you come to 700, that's bold. If you come to 600, is semi bold. 500 is medium. 400 is normal. 300 is light. 200 is extra light. While 100 is what? Thin. So if I give it 100, let's see what we're going to get. Can you see? Very thin. Thin. So if I make it 200, let's see what we are going to get. It's getting better. So if I give it 300, which is normal, let's see what we're going to get. Can you see? Let me give it 400. Uh, See, 400 is getting better. If I do 500, so you see that now getting better. So if I give it 900, let's see if can you see 900? Can you see 900? So 800. So I think the default is 500, I guess, or 400. That's the default. Is it? Is it 400 or wait? Let me do 500. Okay, I think it's better like this. 500. All right, so that's that about font weight. So you can set the font weight of a text, the font size, the font family, and let's look at font style. So let's say we want the font style of H1 to be italic. So if I do font style, so can you see we have italic, we have normal, we have oblique. So if I do italic, because by default the value of font style, hold on please. All right, so if I do the value of font style to be what? If I give the value of font size to be italic, look at what we have. Okay, I didn't save that. Just hold on. So yeah, if I save this, look at what we have. It's going to be italicized. So there's an HTML element for that, but you can manipulate that with what? With CSS. So you see? All right, good. So that's that about fonts, font style, font weight, font size, font what family. So these are properties that we use on what font. You get that now? And let's look at CSS text property. Text. Though we've looked at color, but we are still going to look at color in details. Or let's just look at it now. So let's look at color. So there are 3 or 4 different ways we can apply color to an HTML element. We can apply color to text property, text um, content. We can apply color. So we have the color name, we have the we have color name, we have hexadecimal color, we have RGB, and we have HSL. So these are four primary ways we can apply colors to what text content. So now here it says that in CSS, colors can be specified using various formats, including X, RGB, and HSL. Each format represents colors in a slightly different ways. So you can apply a color to a text using color name like red, like blue, like powder blue, if I'm correct, like tomato color, different kinds of color. But you can't memorize the name, guys. We get that now, because there are some shades of color that you don't even know the names, or I don't know if there is a name for that. So with the help of these color codes like X, RGB, and HSL, we have liberty to, you know use different kind of colors that we want. So the X simply represent hexadecimal color. So the format um is an hashtag, then you have RRGG, then BB. So which simply means red, green, and blue. I think the primary color are red, green, and blue, if I'm not mistaken. Please, if that's not the primary color, I stand to be corrected. Please let me know. All right, so red, green, and what blue. So you can see the format. So, and the shorthand is what hashtag RGB. Simple. So now, if you come here, look at what we have here. This is an hexadecimal code hash. So these first two numbers, 23, this 28 represent the red, this one also represent the green, and this one also represent the blue. So you can see that now. So hexadecimal. So when you see hashtag 28, 28, 28, so it doesn't have to be numbers alone. It can be a mixture of number and letters of the alphabet. It can be a mixture of numbers and letter. So if I over on this now, probably I make it something like this, or let me come here. You can see when you hover on the color, you will see a color palette here. So if you save now, can you see it's a mixture of both numbers and letters. So you have a 0B, a 0A, a 0A. So you see that now. So if I hover on the color, it will you will see this color palette here. You see that now. So this is what hexadecimal. If I save this now, you will see that the color of my links will be quite different. All right, let's move on. So let's look at um RGB. Um, okay, yeah, it says that colors are represented as hexadecimal values. Each pair or single digit in shorthand represent the intensity of red, the intensity of green, and the intensity of what blue, ranging from a 00, which simply means minimum intensity, to FF, which is maximum intensity. So the letters are from is zero. So the minimum is 00, while the maximum is what? FF. You get that now? FF. So it is a number between 0 to 9, while it is a letter between A to what F. You can't see G to Z. It's always A to F or 0 to what 9. You get that now? So intensity, also called chroma or saturation, is the brightness or the dullness of a color. Is the brightness or the dullness of what a color. So let's look at RGB. So RGB represent red, green, blue color. So red, green, blue color. So it range from the value of a 0, which means no intensity, complete dullness, to 255, which means maximum what intensity. And you can also have what we call RGBA. There's RGB, which is just a combination of red, green, blue. So the mixture of that can give you different and millions of colors. Then we also have RGBA, which represent the A there represent or specifies the transparency of the color. So it has a value from 0 to 1. The lowest value is 0, then the highest is what? 1. You get that now? Highest is 1. So we'll look at that as well. So if you come here, if I hover on this color. I think we have two places where we apply the color property. So let me come to this part here, the list part here. So if I come here, if you look at the color tag, you can see on top here, you are seeing like the color code, this hexadecimal color. If I click on it, look, if I click on it, it's going to change to HSL. We have not looked at this, so I'm going to click again. It's going to show me these two as well. I will click again, then it's going to show me RGB. So the equivalent, the equivalent of this hexadecimal code, you can have it in what? RGB, like this. Can you see? So you will have it like this. Very simple. So this represents the number of red and the number of green and the number of what? Blue color that were mixed together to form what? This black color. You get that now? So, and let's look at um HSL, which simply means hue, saturation, lightness, color. So you have format. Okay, the format is hue, saturation, lightness, or you can have HSLA, which represents hue, saturation, lightness, and alpha. So hue represent the color type in degree. So it's from is 0 degree to what? 36 360 degree. So is 0 degree is red, 120 degrees green, and 240 degrees what? Blue. Then saturation represent or means the intensity of the color, the intensity of the color. So the unit is percentage. So 0% equals grayscale, while 100% equals full scale. I rarely use this HSL color. I rarely use it. So the lightness represents the brightness of the color. The brightness of the color. So 0% means black, 50% means normal, 100% means what? White. So why the A there, which simply means alpha value, alpha specifies the transparency. The transparency. All right. So that's that. If I come to my style, if I over on this color and it will show me this color palette, if I click on it, it's going to show me the hexadecimal code, the equivalent of the RGB. If I click on this again, it's going to show me um the code in HSL. You see that now? So this represents the hue, this represents the saturation, and this represents what? The lightness. So you get that now. So let me bring it back to RGB. So I bring it to RGB. I can even apply the A there, which simply means alpha. That tells us the transparency of the color. If you give it like is 0, that means it's going to be transparent. You will not be able to see anything. Now watch. You're not seeing anything here. You see that now? You're not seeing anything. Why? Because we set it to what? Transparent is 0. So if you give it like is 0.1, because it has a value from 0 to what? 1. The highest is 1, the lowest is what? Is 0. If you do 0.1, look at what we are going to get. Now you can see the link very faint. So if I increase it to 2, look at what we have. If I increase it to 3 and I save, look at what we have. It's getting better. If I increase it to 4, you see now, you see it's getting better, it's becoming clearer. If I increase it to 5, the same thing. You see now it's getting better. Then I can increase it to 7. Let's see. Voila. Then to 9. You see, then to what? 1. If you save that now, the recolor. So let me just remove the 1. Just that's to explain the meaning of what A in practical. All right, I think that's that about color. So I think I can proceed. So let's look at line height. Then we look at letter spacing, text align, text decoration, text transform. We'll look at these ones later. So all right, let's move on. So before we look at that, let me check if okay, I have less than 5 minutes. So Afterwards, I'm going to send you a new link to join. But so far, are you following what I've been explaining? Do you understand what I've been explaining so far on colors and group selector, grouping selector, and combining selector? Do you understand it? All right, let's proceed. So we are done with colors. So let's go back to the next one, which is line height and letter spacing and all that. So let's look at line height. So line height is the distance between lines. So if you look at this text now, if you look at this text, can you see the distance between these two texts is very short? Can you see the white space between the two texts? Look at the first line of text and look at the second line. You see that now the distance between the two lines is what we call line height. So if we want to create much distance between lines, we have to use what line height. So I'll come here. So I'll target the paragraph. I'll target the paragraph. So since the paragraph does not have a class value, neither does the paragraph tag as an ID value. You know what? I can select this paragraph. I can select this paragraph by um this, what do you call it, by I can select the paragraph from this section ID here. But let me just give it a class, because let me give it a class. Let me give it um um content or something, or description. Let me give it deck. Yes, deck, which means description, deck. So yeah, I'm just going to do dot deck, which represents description. Hold on. So I give it deck, which represent description. So I'm just going to give it a line height. So a line height. So I can use just I can use numbers, and I can also use numbers with unit. But just look at the line height here. Look at it. You can see it's very small. So if I make it like, if I give it like 15 pixel, if I do 15 pixel now, you'll see. Can you see it's smaller? Can you see it's smaller now? It's now being squashed together. So if I do 10, for instance, you'll see something now. Can you see? So that's line height. You can see how we are influencing the line height. So I do 5 pixel, you will see something now. Can you see? So now but if I increase it to 20 pixel, if I increase it to 20 pixel, can you see? It's better. If I make it 25, look at what we have here. Can you see? So and if I make it like 30, look at what we have. Can you see the line height is getting better? And if I make it like 40 pixel, look at what we have. So you can keep increasing it depending on your taste, what you want, your desire. So you can leave it like this, but I think the gap is too much. So I can use pixel like this, or I can use just normal. I can just use number. I can say 1.2. If I do 1.2, look at what we are getting. Can you see? And if I do something like 0.2, look at, doesn't make sense at all. But if I make it 1, look at what we have. See? So let me just increase it to 1.6. Normally, if you are using point like this, you want to leave it as 1.6. So can you see the gap? So anything beyond that, like 1.8, the the gap will be much. See that now? So you can either use pixel or just normal value like this. So let me leave it at 1.6. Let me leave it as 1.6. All right. So the next thing we're going to look at is, So if you look at line height, let's look at letter spacing. So that's the space between letters, the space between one letter and the other. So if you notice here, letter spacing. So letter spacing is different from line height. Line height is just the distance between two lines. So the distance between two lines. But letter spacing is spacing out letters. So how can we do that? I'll just do something like letter spacing. I think it also use the same format as line height. So if I give it like 4 pixel, let's see 4 pixel, you notice something. Can you see the line height, the letter spacing? You notice now. And if I make it 10 pixel, now see, can you see that now? So and you can make it like 2 pixel depending on what you want. You see that now? Nice one. So I'm just going to leave it as probably 1 pixel. I want to maintain the normal letter spacing. So let's see. I think it's okay. Then we also have word spacing. That is word spacing is different from letter spacing. Word spacing is different from letter spacing. So this is the spaces between two words. So how you space out words. So if I do 4 pixel now, for instance, you will see this. So can you see? Let me make it very obvious. So let me do something like 20 pixel. See? Can you see letter spacing? Good. All right. Let's take it back to. Let me just let me do 3 pixel. All right. We're good to go. So that's that. And then the next thing is going to be, so we've looked at color, line height, letter spacing. We've looked at word spacing. So let's look at text align. Then we also look at text decoration and text transform. So text align simply means the alignment of your text. The alignment of your text. The alignment of your text. All right. So let's look at that. So you can align your text to the left, you can align your text to the right, or you can align your text to the center. So let me repeat that. You can align your text to the left side or to the right side or towards to the center. So let's look at that in practical. So text align. So look at the values of the property center, end, justify, left, right, start. So start simply represents left, right represent end, then we have center. So if we do left, I think by default it is what left. So if you look at it here, by default it is left, so it is aligned on the left side of our web page. And if you do right, now watch, if you do right, look at what we have here. Can you see it's aligned to the right? It's aligned to the right. All right. And if I do center, look at, you will see something now. If I do center, look at what we have. Can you see? It's now what's centered. What is that? Okay, align centered. Can you see? It's centered. Let me remove this line spacing and all, or let me make it 0 and also 0 pixel here. 0 0. So let's see what we have. All right, can you see? It's what centered. So this is a centered word text. All right, let's move on. So we also have what we call justify. Let's look at justify. So see how justify works. So you can see justify. So it works as it's going to be centered. Um, it's going to have a straight line on the left side and also on the right side. So look at, because if I use something like left, for instance, now let me do left and save. Yes, left and save. Now notice that this right side is not in a straight line. They are not ending in the same alignment, or which English will I use? But the moment I do justify, If I do justify, the left side is going to be well aligned, and the right side is also going to be what? Well aligned. So that's that. Don't worry, when we start building our project, we are going to look at um we're going to see how we can begin to use all of these properties. So the next one we are going to look at is text transform. So text transform simply means whether you want to capitalize your text or change it to lowercase or what to uppercase. So if I do capitalize, it's going to capitalize our text. But if I change it to, okay, let me make this text align to be left. I don't want it to be justified. Left. So let's change the text transform to be what should I call this now? Okay, let's do uppercase. So if you do uppercase, look at what we have here. Can you see uppercase? And you can do s- um lowercase. I wanted to write smaller case. You can do lowercase. Can you see? Fine. All right. So that's that. And we also have text decoration. So mostly we use text decoration on link, because if you notice here, if you go to the web page, you will see something um like an underline here. So this is called text decoration. You see that now? It is called text decoration. So by default, you want to remove what all the text decoration that comes with the link by default, because by every link element comes with a text decoration. So I can decide to remove that. If I come to the semantics here, okay, if I come to my style tag, go to, I think we've selected the link before. So yeah, I'll just come here, I'll do text decoration. So you can see you have different value here. You have dashed, dotted, double, line through, none. So apparently you can go and practicalize on all of this value, but I'm just going to set it to none. Once I set it to none, notice here you won't see that text decoration anymore. You see that now? You won't see the text decoration anymore. See? So that's good. So what other thing again? I think we are done. So let's look at adding background images with background image property. So let's see if we'll be able to finish this in the next 20 minutes before we look at box model. All right. Okay, we've looked at this. Okay, adding background images with background image property. So background image property actually adds an image as the background of an element. So let me do this. Mm, let me cancel this. I'm going to create a new file here inside of class 4. I'll call it bg.html. So bg simply means background. So I'll just do bg.html. So I'll generate my boilerplate. So I'm just going to call this. I'll change the title from document to CSS background image. So let's do this. There's a lot to learn actually, and we're going to be taking it gradually. So let's say I have a div. Or let's say, okay, I have a div. Let me call it, let me give it a class of container. So inside of the opening tag of the div, I'll give it a class. I'll call it class, and I'll give it the value of what container, like this. But instead of doing it like this, I can just, there's a shortcut for that. Look at, I'll just do div dot container. like this, div.container. Once as I'm typing that, you will see the mnet abbreviation telling you that this is what you are trying to create. Div that has a class of what container. Once I press enter, he's going to generate that for me. You get that now? So that's the way we can, that's the shortcut for that. Or you can just do dot container. Once you do dot container, it means that you are trying to generate a div that has a class of what container. So that dot container simply means you are generating a div that has a class of what container. And once you press enter, look at what we have here. You see that now? All right. So the next thing we want to look at is this. The next thing we want to look at is this. Let's see how we can fix what a background image to this what to this div. How we can fix a background image to the div. All right. I'm going to use an embedded CSS style. Embedded CSS. So I'll just come to the air tag. I'll do style like this. So okay, all right. Let me give the div, because if I want to set the back, if I want to give or set a background image for this div that has a class of container, then I should be able to first of all define the height and the width of the container. I should be able to define the height and the width of the container. So to do that, I'll just say, okay, I want to select the div that has a class of container, and then I want to give it a width of, let's say, 400 pixel and a height of 400 pixel, and what again, so let's also create a border line so that you'll be able to see the boundary. So I'm just going to do border. So I'll give it 2 pixel solid and red, though we've not done this yet, but just leave it. All of these things here, we've not looked at it, but we'll focus on that later. So if I right click and I open with a live server, so now look at what we have here. Can you see this container, this div here? So we define the height and the width. See that, the height and the width. So 400 by what, 400. So this is what we have here. So we want to attach a background image to it. We want to give it a background image. So to do that, this is what I'm going to do. I'll just do something like background image. So I will have to specify. So for me to be able to add a background image to this my container, I need what, the background image property, then followed by URL. So this URL is is like is similar to source attribute, the src in image tag. So that's how the URL is. So for the source attribute, that's the src, you have to specify the image that you want to use, the part of the image. So the same thing too for what, URL. This helps us to be able to specify the part of the image. So since we don't have any image in class 4, so I think I have a cat image here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the cat, I'll copy, and I'll paste it in class 4. You see that now? Or I can also use external image. I can use an image. Let me just search for nice image. What should I search for? Okay, since I don't have anything to search for, let's just use the cat image here. So I'll just come here, I'll use a quote. So I have to specify the image. So apparently the cat image is inside of class 4. So, and also the BG HTML also is inside of what, class 4. They are all in the same, that they all belong to the same directory. So I'll just do dot forward slash. So it's going to bring out all the files that is in class 4. So the one I'm interested in is what, cat.jpg. So if I save now, look at what we are going to get. Can you see? This is what we are getting. Cat. We are getting this cat now. So the cat now has now become the background image of what, this container. So how is it? So let's see if truly it's a background image. So let me come here, let me type something here. Let's paragraph. Okay, let me just say h1. I'll do css background image. Then I'll do something like a p tag lorem 20. So if you save, now look at what we have here. Can you see? Shows that it's what, a background image. Shows that it's a background image. All right, let's move on. So let me just remove the text. Oh, let me keep it. So now look at what we have. But now, but is what we have here is not enough. I can increase the height. I can increase of the width of the container to be 900. If I increase it to be 900, now look at, can you see the image is what repeating? Let me increase it to 1000. You see that the image is what repeating. You see that the image is repeating. The reason why the image is repeating so that it can be able to cover the width of what the container can be able to cover the width of the container, because the width value that we set for the div is 1000, and apparently the default width size or value of the image is not up to 1000. So what it's going to do is going to repeat itself so that it can cover the space remaining in the container, whether in the width direction or in the height. So now look at what we have here. So but the thing is that there's a CSS property that we can use to remove that repeat this image repeat. There is a way we can remove that. So I'll just come here, I'll do background repeat. That's what we call background repeat. So we have several values. We have four values for this background repeat. We have no repeat, meaning that we don't want the image to repeat at all, and we have repeat, meaning that we want the image to repeat. So by default, the value of background repeat is what repeat. Then we have repeat dash y, meaning that you only want it to repeat on the horizontal level. But what we also have repeat repeat dash x, meaning that you want it to repeat horizontally. Then repeat dash y, you want it to repeat vertically. But I don't want it to repeat, so I'll just do no repeat. Now look at what we have. No repeat. I see that now. No repeat. So I had to extend the width of the container so that you'll be able to see that. So let me bring it back to 400. Let me bring it back to 400. Now look at what we have. Can you see? So apparently the width now of the container is smaller than the width of what? Of the image. The width of my container is smaller than the width of the image. So you can't see the entire image in the container. So there's some part of the image that is what cut off. So if you want to still see the entire image, so what you just have to do is use what we call background size. There's what we call background size. So this background size, as um you can use percentage, you can use also keyword. So you can give it 50% like this. So you want the size of the image to be what? 50%. Can you see? It's 50%. And okay, let me also, I think it takes two values, I guess. Okay, just one value. And you can make it 100% like this. You see that now? But I don't use this. I don't use percent. I use keyword like cover, contain, and all. So background size. So I'm going to use cover and all. I think the default value is what? Auto. So if I do contain, so it's going to scale the image while preserving its intrinsic aspect ratio to the largest size, such that both its width and its height can fit within the background position. So if I do contain, for instance, and I save, look at what I have here. So you see maintain is aspect ratio, but though it's not covering the entire height of my container. But if I do something like cover, if I change this to cover, now can you see for cover? Let me over on it. Cover, the scale, it scales the image while preserving its intrinsic aspect ratio to the smallest size, such that both its width and its height can completely cover the background positioning area. So when you cover now, look at what it's going to cover the entire image. But though there are some part of the image that is was cut out, but we still maintain the aspect ratio. You see that now. But now, how can we make this? We can adjust the position of the image such that we can decide that we want to see a particular part of the image. For example, now there's some part of the image that is what cut out. So we can say that we want to see that particular part. So we can use background positioning to be able to adjust the position of what of our background image. So let's do that. So I'll come here, I'll do background position. So this background position, it receives values in percentage and also uses what keyword. So if I do something like center, so this first center represents the, what do you call it now? It represents the horizontal position, while the second center represents the vertical what position. You get that now? So this represents the horizontal position and this represents the vertical position. So if you look at it now, look at what we're going to get. Can you see it is properly what center? Now we can see the full image, like the cat itself. You can see the full image. So the equivalent of center in percentage is what? 50%. So let's do 50% like this. 50%. So if you look at it, it's still the same thing. And I can say, okay, I don't want center. I want the background position to be positioned to the left, while to the top. So let's see what we are going to get. So can you see? So we are seeing the left side of the image and the top side of the image. So if I want it to be what? Right, let us see the right side of the image. Now look at, can you see? We are seeing the right side of what? The image. Very good. I see the right side of the image and I can make it center. And so let's see the center. So we'll be able to see what the image, the full cat image itself. So, and I can say, okay, I want this to be bottom instead of top. I want this to be bottom. So if you look at, can you see? We are seeing the bottom part, and I can make it to be what? Top. And if I save, I see the top part. All right, so let's proceed. So the equivalent of, let me write it here, for CSS background, yes, background image. So center is what? 50%. Left is 0%, while right is 100%. Then top is 0%, while bottom is 100% as well. So you can see the equivalent. All right, so let's look at a shorthand of this. Let's see a shorthand of this. So let's see shorthand. Let's look at shorthand. Shorthand. So shorthand will be, so to do shorthand, you have to do something like background. Then the shorthand, the first shorthand will be background image like this. No repeat, center. So this one represents background image. This one represents background repeat. Why this one represent what do you call it? It represents background positioning. So if we want to now do background, if you want to now do background size, you have to create space forward slash, then you can do something like cover, and it's still going to work. So now let's look at it now. The shorthand. So I'll just do background. So the first value will be what? The URL. So I'll just uh, take this, copy, and I paste it here. Then space. You don't need to do comma space. Then I'll do no repeat. No repeat. Then the second one will be what? Center and what? Top. Then the background size, I'll just do forward slash cover, uh, forward slash, and I'll do what? Cover. So if I remove all of this here, this part, if I remove it, now this is the shorthand for setting background size, background repeat, background position, and background image. So if I save now, can you see? This is what we are getting. Very simple. Very simple. So that's that. So what if I want to overlay this image, this background image with a different shade of color? Instead of having something like this, I want to overlay it with a different shade of color. So this is where I'm going to be teaching you linear gradient. Gradient itself, I'm going to teach you linear gradient in the next 15 minutes. Let's see if I'll be able to do that. linear gradient. So if we come here, so here it says that a gradient is a transition from one color to another. So there are two types of gradient. We have linear gradient and we have what? Radial gradient. So we are going to be looking at linear gradient. So what is linear gradient? Linear gradient changes colors along a line. So from one edge of the element to the other. So while radial gradient starts at a point and spread outward in a circular or elliptical shape. You get that now? So I'm going to create a new file in class 4. I will call it gradient. I'll call it gradient.html. So yeah, I'm just going to generate a boilerplate. I'll change um I'll change the title tag content from document to CSS linear gradient. So let me also create a div with a class of container, and I'm going to use a style tag here. So let me just copy the style that I have here. Let me copy from here. So I'll come here, I'll do dot container, then this. All right, so okay, let me remove okay, let me still keep the border. So if I right click and open with live server, this is what we are getting. This is what we are getting. So now let's see something. So back to the note. It says linear gradient changes colors along a line from one edge of an element to the other. So if you want to um, transition from one color to another color, you can either use linear gradient if you want the transition to occur along a line, and you can use um, radial gradient if you want the color to start at a particular point and spread out in a circular or elliptical shape. So let's look at linear gradient. So we want to transition from one color to another color, and also you need to bear in mind you need to know that you can transition from one color to multiple colors, from blue to red to green to all that. So but the minimum is what? Two colors. Minimum is two colors, transitioning from one to another. So let's say to define that we'll need what we call background. So I'll just say background like this. So it can be background or background color. So let's just do background. So now instead of giving it a color name, I'll just do linear gradient. So linear gradient, so this is it here. It's like it's a function, a method. So here I'm going to specify the color. So I can either use hexadecimal or RGB or what do you call it now? HSL color code. So let me look for a nice color code here. So in case you don't have any idea of color to use, let me show you what color the site to look for. So you just type color, yes, colorhunt.co. Look at it there, colorhunt.co. So you see tons and tons of color palette here. So let me use this. So yours is just to copy any color that you want, or you can search for color. So look at, once you hover on any color, it's going to show you the hexadecimal code. So I'll click on it and then come here. Let me paste it here. So it will just give you the code, but you have to add hashtag there for it to work. Then afterwards you do comma, because you need to, if you want to transition from one color to another, you need at least two colors. So let me transition from this color to this color here. So let me just paste it here, hashtag, and I paste. So if you save now, look at what we have here. Can you see? See this? Let me make, no, I think let me use let me use this instead. Let me use this. Yeah. So look at what we have. So can you see how we transitioned from this color to this color here? So at the top, this is the concentration part, or the um yes, the concentration part of the color. Why are this part here? The second color, look at the concentration part. But in between, you can see how the transition is taking place from this color to this purple color here. You can see how the transition is actually taking place. So this is transition. But the thing is, that's not all. You can decide to change the direction of the colors, the transition. You can decide to change the direction, because apparently the default direction is from top to bottom. The default direction is from what? Top to bottom, meaning from top to what? Bottom. Transition from top to what? Bottom. That's the default direction. So we can set the direction. So to set the direction, you can either use percent. I think, is it percent or degree? Let's see. You can either use degree. Yes, you can either use degree, or you can use directions like top, right, bottom, and left. So let's look at it. So here, by default, is from top to bottom. So this is how it works. So before the before the color, or before the first color, I'm going to say, I'm going to do to bottom. That's the default. Then comma. Look at what we have here. To bottom, comma. Then we now have the colors. So watch, is still the same thing from top to bottom. So the to bottom now represent the destination of the color. So you are starting from this color and you are ending with this color to the bottom direction. But if you want to do to right, if you do to right, it means that it's going to start from left to what? Right. So this color is going to start from left, then it's going to end at this color here to the right side. So now watch, to right. You see that now? And we can also do to left. So to left simply means from right to what? Left. You see that now? And we can also do to top. So it means from bottom to what? Top. You see that now? From bottom to top. And we can also make it diagonal by saying from, we can say to top right. So to top right simply means it's starting from bottom left to top right. Now watch. Top right. So it's starting from what? Bottom left to what? Top right. That's diagonal. Can you see? And we can also say to, you can play around with these things. You can also say bottom bottom left. You can say to bottom left. When you say to bottom left, if you hover on it, to bottom left, so it means that it's going to start from top right to bottom left. Now watch. From top right, look at it here, from top right to what? Bottom left. So that's how we can what? Alter the direction of the colors. And there's also an equivalent of this in degree. So for instance, you come here, for instance, to bottom, which is the default direction, the equivalent is what? 180 degree. So if I come here and I do something like 180 degree like this, so it's going to take it to to bottom. Can you see? To bottom. And to right is going to be 90 degree. While to left, I think should be 270 degree or whatever. So you can play around with degrees. You get that now? You can play around with degrees. So we've looked at the direction, how we can set direction to our colors. So the next thing we are also going to look at is how we can set the value of the color, like the size of the color. We can say we want this particular color size to be bigger than the second color size and whatever. So I can come here to set the size. It has to be after the color. So this first color now, I want to give it a size of 50%. You can use pixel, you can use percent, and you can use pixel or percent or whatever. So if I do 50% now, look at what we are going to get. Can you see? So the size of this color is what? 50%. Then from 50% downward, you can see a bit of transition before we get to this color here. So but if I don't want to If I don't want the color to transition, if I don't want the color to transition, I just want to have two colors, but I don't want to see that transition aspect, that the smooth transition from one color to another color, just like the way we have it here. I don't want to see that. So what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to give the color equal size. I'm going to give the color equal size because I gave this first color 50%. And let's say, so it means that it's going to start from 0 to what, 50%. And I say, okay, I want the second color to also start from what, 50%, from 50% down to what, 100%. Now look at what we are going to get. You will see that there's no transition because where this first color stop, that's where the second color starts from. But if I say I want the second color to start from 70%, so between 50% to 70%, that's when the transition is going to what, occur. Can you see? This is where the transition is going to occur. So I can alter the transition by giving the colors the same what value. Look at, if I give it the same value, look at what we have. Fantastic. So with this now, you can create any kind of logo. You can create you can design a country logo like Nigeria, um, Canada, or whatever. So let's say, for example, I want to design a Nigerian color. So sorry, a Nigerian flag. Nigerian flag. So I'll come here, look at how Nigerian flag looks. Let me show you. So you can use your country flag. Nigerian flag. Uh look at the image. So you see, let's just do this. You can see this part here. I want us to design this together. So let me get the real or the actual color of this. So to do that, I think I have a color picker eyedropper here. So this one, you can find that in extension, the Chrome extension. It is called color picker eyedropper. So I'll click on it to get the exact color of this green. So I'll do that. So I'll just come here. Let me create another div here. I'll call it or let me still use this container here. So I'm going to give this a width of 600 and a height of 400. I don't need the border. Yeah. So I'm going to remove that. So I'm going to remove this degree for now. So I'm going to change this color from this to what we have here. So I'm going to have to color. So let me remove the percentage too as well. Then the white, I'm sure the white should be ash. Okay, it's not the normal white. So let me copy that. I'm going to do this. So I'll paste this here. Then comma, I'll do the same thing too. I think it's green, white, green. So I'll copy this. So if I save now, look at what we have. This is what we have here. This is not nice, actually. It's not nice. So apparently the color, the direction of the color is whichever, it can be from right to left or left to right. You get that now? So um let me do to left or to right, whichever one. To right, comma. So if I save this now, let me space it out to right. So look at what we are going to get. Can you see to right? But you can see the transition from the green to the white, from the white to the green. But I don't want this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give the color the colors the same size. So I'm going to give the colors the same size. So how do I give the color the same size? Because if I use percentage, for instance, for this first color, I do space 30%. Then the second color, let me collapse this. Second color, I do 30%. And the third color, I do 30%. And I save. Look at what we have here. Okay, it's not, no, no, no. It starts from, let's say the first color starts from 0 to 30%, then from 30% to like 60%, then from 60% to like 100%. Look at now, you will see something here, but you notice that this last green is bigger than the other color, so we can't use percent for this in this case now. So let me remove it. So this is what we are going to do. So based on the height, sorry, the value of the width, the width is what 600 pixel. So that means we can give each color a width of 200, because since we have three color, if we divide 3 by 600, we are going to get what 200, 200. So each color we have a color size of what 200, 200, 200. So this is how we are going to do it. So say, okay, we want to start from 0 to what 200 pixel. Since we define the width with pixel, so let's just do it here. So say 200 pixel. Then here we'll say the second color, which is white, we'll say we want to start from 200 pixel. We are starting from 200 pixel where the green color stop, the first green color stop. So it means I'm starting from there. So I have to specify 200 pixel, then space to 400 pixel. That's where I want to end. Then the third color will now be, I want to start from where the second color ends, which is what space 400 pixel, then space towards 600 what pixel. So if you save that now, we are going to get what this beautiful Nigerian flag. Voila. You see that now? Beautiful Nigerian flag. Fantastic. Very, very, very simple. Very simple. You see that? That's that about what linear gradient. So the essence, the reason why I'm teaching you this is because I want to be able to add um something like an overlay on this color, on this what do you call it, this background image. So how can I do that? Because it's too bright, I want to make it a bit dark. So I'll come to the bg html file, and here I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something like linear gradient. So between the linear gradient and what the URL for this background image, I'm going to space it out. I'm going to separate it by using a comma. So I'll use a comma. So this linear gradient must receive two colors. So I want to have like a dark overlay on that background image. So the dark overlay, I can use an RGBA for that. RGBA. So I can do is 0, 0, 0. So is 0, 0, 0 is black, but I want the black to be a bit transparent. So I'll just do, that's the essence of the A there. So the A, which represent alpha, specifies the transparency of the color. So I want it to be a bit transparent. So I'll do 0.4. You see that now? So you can see it's giving us a shade of black. So I'll do the same thing too, because I need two colors if I want to do if I want to do linear gradient. I need two colors. So I'm going to use the same color like this. So now see what we are going to get. Can you see? It's now, can you see the overlay there now? And I can make it even darker a bit. So 6, or let me make it 7. And yeah, the alpha also to be 0.7, 0.7. If I save now, look at what we have now. You see? Very, very good. Very good. You see that now? So I can give the content, the text content, I can give it the color of, I give it the color of white. So white is going to be ash FFF. So if I save, look at what we are going to get. Can you see now? Fantastic. So you might be wondering, how come I set the color in the container and it affects all of this? The reason is because there are some proper CSS properties that can be inherited by the children element, such as color. So the H1 and the paragraph content can inherit the color property that I set for its container. You get? So look at what we are. So let's stop here for today. Let's stop here. Yeah, we're able to cover um what is it? We're able to cover all of these, all of these. So we even touched text align, text transform, line height, letter spacing. So let's quickly look at Google Fonts, how we can use Google Font instead of the custom fonts that we looked at. Let's say we can use Google Font, but let me check if I still have enough time for that. Okay, I still have 11 minutes. So let's look at Google Fonts. I told you that where's that part here? In the style of CSS, if you notice, if you look at the body tag, the font family, we use the custom fonts that we have here. So, but I'm going to show you how we can use Google Fonts. So to use Google Fonts, so that's where I'm going to stop for today. To use Google Fonts, let's see. Let me just clear this. Clear this. To use Google Fonts, just search for Google Fonts. Google Fonts. Yeah. Done. Search for Google Fonts. Press enter. So yeah, this first website here, fonts.google.com. Click on it. So yeah. So this is going to bring you to this page. All right. So you want to search for fonts. There are different types of fonts here. I'm telling you, we have Roboto, Noto Sans, whatever. You can see different types of font. Nice fonts here. You see, Open Sans, Montserrat, and all of those things like that. So Poppins and all these popular fonts. So I'm just but you can search for fonts here. Look at this search bar here or search input. If you click on it, you can search for font. Let's say I want to search for Montserrat. 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 So if I click on this font, I'll click on it. So it's going to take me to this page here. So here, look at a preview of how Montserrat font family looks like. Can you see that now? You can see it comes with different versions of font width. 100. Look at how it looks like. Extra light, light, regular, medium, semi bold, bold, extra bold, black 900, and all of these things like that. So let's see how we can use this. So I just click on get fonts. So I click on get fonts. So now this font has been selected. Can you see? So yeah, one font family selected. You can select as many font family, but let's just select one. So yeah, I'm not going to download it. I just want to get embedded code. I want to get embedded code because I want to be able to embed the code to my HTML file or CSS file. So I'm just going to click on get embedded code. So yeah, you can see you can either use it for Android, iOS, Flutter, but I'm using it for the web. So there are two ways you can embed code. The font family code, that's the Montserrat. There are two ways you can embed it. You can either use link like this or you can use import. You see that now? If you use link like this, look at what it's giving you. Look at what we have here. Just click on copy code. Whenever you want to copy the code of this link, as in if you copy the code of this link, it is expected that you put it in the head tag of your HTML. Look at it here. Put it in the head tag of your HTML. Just copy. Come to where is that? That should be um is it BG or semantic? Yes, semantic HTML. So you come to your head tag, yeah, probably above the CSS link or whatever. So let me do it below the CSS link. I'm just going to create a comment so that my code will be readable. So I'll just do something like this, and I'll say Google font link, Google fonts link. So um under the comment, I'm just going to paste what I copied. Can you see that now? I've pasted the link, so I've been able to embed the link into my HTML file. So how can I use it now? So if you come here, if you go down, you will see font family, Montserrat. You see that? Montserrat and service. So just copy this. I don't want to use everything here. I only want to get the font family. So just highlight this part here. Copy this part. Copy. Then go to your style.css. In the body tag where you define the font family, remove this the value of this font family, remove it. Okay, remove everything here, then paste it here. If you paste, now you see that the font will change. See that the font see the font has what changed. The font has changed. So that's how to use Google font. And also this other part, this last part here, So you can also use it. You can also use this import. So you can see showing us how to use it. It has to be in a style tag. So I can copy this part. Let me just click on copy. So here I can remove this part. Where is it? Or let me comment it. Let me not remove it. So comment. Then I can use that. I'll just copy paste it here. So you can see everything is inside of the style tag like this. Import URL blah 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 style tag. Or if I don't want to do it like this, if I don't want to have it in the head tag, in this style tag, I can just copy it, cut it, go to the CSS file and paste it there. But if you want to paste it, make sure it's the first thing, the first thing in your, or the yes, the first thing in your HTML CSS file. You paste it here. So you see it's giving you error because tags are not expected in CSS file. So remove the tags. Then if you save, so whenever you want to, so you can do this. So you have different ways to embed Google font link into your, or use Google font link in your web page, in your HTML file or CSS file. So you can see. So that's that. And if you look at it, will still work. If you come here, it still works the same way. Still works. So I think that's that. We're done for today. So the next class, which is going to be class 5, we are going to be looking at box model, and we're also going to look at pseudo class selector. Then from there we'll look at layout, positioning, transition, and transform. We'll look at all of these in our next class. Then from there we can then move to CSS flex and grid, CSS flex and flexbox and CSS grid. All right, so if you have any question, please let me know. And in the absence of question, we are done for today. All right, we are done for today. So for those that will be watching this video later on YouTube, if you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and comment. Thank you. Bye.